Welcome back, everyone. And today's episode is called Dream Types: What God is Really Saying While You Sleep.
And for that, this requires an opening of a can of bubbly. So let's do it. Pop the
Yes.
top. So, in other words, a good symbol of effervescing, the spirit flowing up. So, and that's what we need. We need Holy Spirit come help us out if we're going to make this work. So, with that, today we're going to continue on dream types, and you all dream. And once you value it, again, you'll start to remember. And we want to kind of go over and Tricia's going to read the list here. There's like 30 or more different dream types. I personally believe 33, but I have a list of 30 that we've run into. And, if you pay attention, God's offering you all kinds of things in your sleep. Let's look at the list.
Yes, really, dreams are meant to invite us into transformation, and He has plans for us.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to read you the 30 types. And as Murray said, there's 30. And what we're going to do is add more to this as time goes on. In fact, if anyone here listening has a new dream type that we didn't mention, we'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to
I'm sure
quickly,
there's like 100, to be
probably,
honest, but
but here I'm going to read you all the different types of dreams that we know of. There's emotional healing dreams, flushing dreams, ooh, physical healing dreams, prophetic dreams, environmental dreams,
mm,
counseling dreams, and they can often show up in series, progress reports, individual counseling dreams, self-diagnostic dreams,
mm.
guidance dreams, courage dreams, warning dreams, consequence dreams,
Well, I hate those.
nightmares. Yeah, consequence. Yeah, I don't like nightmares, warfare dreams, curses,
All right.
dark dreams, regional anointing and territorial spirit dreams, false dreams,
Yeah.
graduation dreams, retro dreams, dreams of a season change, calling dreams, time lock dreams. Ooh, that sounds fun. Birthing dreams, divine dreams, dreams of loved ones passing on,
Hmm.
lucid dreams. I love those. Direction dreams, teaching or theology dreams, and creativity dreams. That is a lot of different types of
Yeah.
dreams,
I,
Murray.
and some of them, you know, you can't put everything in a neat little category all the time. A lot of
No.
dreams are a little bit of each, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
let's just so you know, it's like, well, what exactly is this on the list of 30?
Yeah, it might be
It's
a few. Yeah.
like somebody, I'm a spiritually sensitive person, sensor feeler. I'm also a teacher. I'm also a pastor. I'm a little bit of everything, right? So I would say dreams can be that too. So there you go. Just.
So we'll just start at the top of the list, right? So Murray, you're gonna talk a little bit about dream type number one,
Yes.
emotional healing dreams.
This is a very big one, everybody, because emotional healing dreams, as the title suggests, heal your emotions. And often we can repress things or things from the past. And I want to get past this. I'm going to put it in a tight little ball and I'm going to swallow it. And then I will put that in a lock and never look at it again. Right. And sometimes to move forward, we need closure.
Hmm.
And if you need, like the children of Israel coming out of Egypt, they needed closure. They kept wanting to go back. Why? Because they didn't have closure. And then they needed to convert their thinking to come into line with God's. And
Hmm.
then they needed to be commissioned for the new. And sometimes until you get closure, you don't get your new commissioning. So you can't necessarily have a prophetic dream that move forward when you haven't dealt with your past, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. And so
Totally.
sometimes that can feel like going backwards, but that's not what's happening. And often we make statements like, I should be over this by now. Uh,
So yeah, so if an old wound shows up in a dream, I know I would assume I've failed and I've not healed, but actually something else is happening, right?
yeah, yeah. It's actually kind of a sign of progress because it means you're at the stage that you're ready to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
So when I used to work with street kids, you'd see this a lot where they would have trauma and God would wait a year to touch it. And I'd
Mm,
often wonder why aren't, and a year later, and it's because they didn't know God enough yet as Father that if he touched that wound and their pain came up, they might run back to drugs or who knows what, right? Because they didn't know. And it's the same for us. Like if God touches something, God needs to know that we trust him enough to let him pull the sliver out.
right.
And so sometimes you'll wait and then these things come up and it's actually showing you you're ready now. God knows you trust him enough that you can graduate past it. So it's really a vote of confidence from the Lord. It really is.
Oh, yeah, totally. And when you have a dream and you realize it's an emotional healing dream, instead of saying, why am I dreaming this? I thought I dealt with this or whatever, right? You got to
Yeah.
ask the question, what is ready to be healed? What is God putting his finger on right now?
Yes. And they often are quite gentle and loving, but not always. So if you're not listening and God has to go, hello, McFly, as referring back to that old movie, um, Back to the Future, if you're like, what old movie? Um, it'll get louder. Like
Mm.
it can almost like go into a nightmare. Like you're not listening. It's God speaking louder. So it's good to listen to the first time. So, uh,
Yeah, now you have a really good
uh,
example of a dream you did you just have this dream last night?
yes,
Okay, you're going to share that one?
yes.
All right, you're being brave. Okay.
Oh, I can feel my heart tighten right up.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. So, here's the dream. And Tricia's going to ask me, so bridging questions, everybody. We've talked about it in the previous episode. Where in my life do I feel like this, or am I experiencing this? Right. So, because sometimes we go through experiences that we did in our past that we're like, I'm not doing this again, right? And therefore, this stuff comes up. So, in the dream, I'm, it's like I'm in a hotel at a conference or something. I'm sitting in the restaurant by myself in the hotel. I don't know who I'm with. I don't know why I'm there. I'm alone. I feel pretty lost. So feelings of being excluded, feelings of not having a voice, feelings of
Hmm.
confusion. You paying attention to the feelings in the dream and go and asking the question, where do I feel like this? I'm sure Tricia will ask me that question. So I'm getting ready to pay and leave. And I guess there's a bunch of people ahead of me at the till. So I'm just waiting. And I notice there's a windowsill with light coming in, bunch of plants up there. And I noticed there is a couple books or something sitting there kind of covered in dust. I'm like, well, I wonder what that is. So I walk over and it's my binders of class notes I've been looking for years. What are and a book might even be an old Bible, but I'm not quite sure about that. And I'm like, how did these get here? Oh my goodness! And I start to pick them up, and my friend Steve Schroeder, who is a president of Christian Ministers Association, right? So, and it's at a ministerial with like 600 or 700 ministries in it. He's a good friend of mine. He walks up to me and smiles, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been looking for this stuff, but so I pick it up. I feel a little embarrassed. Are people going to think I'm stealing it? Do they know it's mine? Are people looking at me?
Hmm.
What a fool. I left this here for 2 years. Or are people looking at me like, what an idiot? Like I'm concerned about that. And then I try to put it in my bag, but I have my laptop in there and some other stuff already. And there's nowhere to put it. I don't know where it fits. And and then I've got
Hmm.
to struggle with all these books and stuff at the pay my bill at the same time. And, and I wake up feeling pretty discombobulated from that dream. And that was just last
Wow.
night.
That was just last night. Now, that's such an interesting dream. I think of the,
I
you
just want to go,
mentioned.
I just want to go, boom.
Well, I mean,
I hate how that
you're
dream
in
makes
a
it me feel.
hotel at a restaurant, so you were at rest in a hotel, which you mentioned voice, which really a play on the word tell. Um,
And often hotels represent transition because they're not places you live in, you pass through them.
right. So where in your life, Murray,
Nah.
are you? I know you don't want to answer, but where in your life are you particularly feeling a little bit like you felt in your dream about, just not no one you're at a conference but you don't fit in, you can't no one's talking to you, you're alone. um
If you ever watch this in video, you have to look at my face because I'm not even looking Tricia in the eyes right now.
I
I'm
know
just,
he's avoiding me. I can see his eyes moving all over the place. He doesn't want to talk about it.
uh,
And you know what, you don't have to ever force dream interpretation, so I'm not trying to
yeah.
force, but I am
Well, it's good for
asking.
everybody to know
Yeah.
what these kinds of dreams feel like. It doesn't feel like progress. It does feel
No.
like going
And then
backwards.
you
And I
find old notes that you actually really in real life you've lost these notes, right?
oh,
I remember that, right? And I think they're in the storage container, but
yeah,
anyways, that's probably where they are. But so where in your life are you feeling like you got your old notes, but they don't fit? Or where in your life were you actually getting that feeling? You got your old notes in a shoulder bag, because I know when you said it to me earlier, you said it was a shoulder bag, so
yeah.
you couldn't fit it
It's
into
like a
your
computer
shoulder
bag.
bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you couldn't I think of the play on word shoulder it or but where in your life are you actually getting all these emotions? I know you're still not looking at me. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this yet, but
I don't want it. I don't because next week I like what I do. I like the podcast and I really like teaching classes because you build relationships with people over time. The classes are like a year long. I really like that. I like building relationships with people because then you get to speak into their life. And I've been through about 8 church splits, and I well, see that's a big long pregnant pause there, isn't it?
yeah.
So I have this meeting next week with this pastor in town, good guy, and he's going to ask me. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but somebody's told me this. This is what we're going to talk about. To come and speak at this gathering of 10 different churches, and from there probably to do a seminar in his church. And I know everybody's like, "Well, that
Mm.
doesn't sound bad." Well, if you've done this as a prophetic person and people curse you and there's fallout and backlash and half the church doesn't want anything to do with hearing God, or it can get ugly. And I've been through that a few times and I just don't want to go back there.
So you're picking up your old notes, which is what you would do, right? Like in your dream, picking.
Yeah, I have to pick up stuff that would be for a conference or more. There's classes and then there's seminars and you don't do it the same way, right? Because
Now you mentioned Steve shows up in your
yeah.
dream, and he's the guy actually in charge of these. He oversees these 10 churches, right?
No, no, he oversees the movement I am, but he represents an overseer of churches. So he
I
represents
see. Okay.
he represents churches as community, and he's yeah. So what does Steve represent? Going to churches. What have I just been asked to do next week? Go to churches. And I'm like, oh, do I need
Oh.
to dust this off then? Is that what God's saying? I just don't know where to fit it right now. So I don't know if how I'm feeling is a warning not to do it. If it's my trauma telling me, oh no, here we go again, right? Or you know,
Or a healing dream, an
yeah.
invitation
And it's an
into getting
invitation for
healed.
healing. That's
Yeah.
that's what it is. But it doesn't feel good right now. And but it's an invitation for healing. That's what it is. I know that's what it is. So and so it's gonna play out like that. And I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I need this again. The Bible is like it's not external things that cause you pain, right?
Hmm.
That's how Jesus says it's the things that come out of the heart, right? Lust and gossip. And so when we have a response that's negative, we need to look inside and go, okay, what's going on in there? Why do I believe this? How do I get better so I have peace, right? So it's
Yeah.
an invitation to have peace and healing so I have to choose to believe some different things that I currently am. And I'm going to need to invite Jesus in and look at some things. And I'll probably get some prayer for that, of course. But it's an invitation, right? And I know God's a good father. And again, this is a little bit of, a little maturity, knowing the character and nature of God, that God isn't a boss telling us what to do. God is a father offering to put us back together and heal our souls.
Yeah.
So depending on how you look at God is how you look at a dream like this, right? And but since I know the nature of God, I know what the invitation is, and it's into do you want me to fix this in your heart? And that's
Yeah.
why Steve's there. He represents a loving, kinding father, pastoral person who is standing with me in the journey because that's who he is, right? What does he
Yeah.
mean to you? So everybody, I'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah, we're
And
gonna have to get a follow-up on this one.
yeah, oh
Yeah,
boy,
so for everyone that's listening, remember if you have any emotional healing dreams, these are the questions you ask. And Murray, you might want to think about this too. Who do I need to forgive?
yeah,
What understanding is being offered? And what closure is available? And this
And,
might be a series, end up
and
being a series, but
yeah, and again, this is back to bedbow, and that's very
yeah.
important. Beliefs bring emotions, emotions bring decisions, decisions bring behavior, and behavior brings outcome. So I could, if you look at the emotions coming up here, that's pointing to some kind of belief system I have in my heart. Probably I'm going to get hurt again, right? Which is
Hmm.
causing an emotion of panic a little bit, which could make me make a decision not to go, not to plan anything. And that can become a repeating behavior of withdrawing, which will give me an outcome, which could be isolation. Or this is the problem. I could be having this emotion because my belief system is in the church system that's very performance based, looking for experiential signs is not safe. This is true, which could make me make a decision not to go, which would be healthy, which could lead to wisdom, which could be have an outcome, right? That could be true too.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. So, but I know God wants me to have a belief that I can. That's why Steve's there. I can trust him. He's a good father. He has
Hmm.
authority. I can be at peace and make a decision out of that and then expect an outcome. And, I guess we'll see how it goes. So in other words, when we have an emotion, we need to think backwards. So what's my belief system here? Why is this
Hmm.
being pushed up? And we need to ponder that. That's when the sheet comes down with Peter. I've never eaten anything clean in all my life. And he's got to sit there and why am I responding like this? Because there's
Mm.
going to be 3 Gentiles at his door and he's going to need to make a decision, right? And
Yeah.
have a behavior, which is to go with them. But look at his outcome. Salvation for the Gentiles, not so bad. But so when God's pushing something up, it might be uncomfortable, but there's going to come an outcome that's going to touch lots of people and changes. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I look forward to seeing how this all pans out next week. And we definitely need to
Good.
do a follow-up for our listeners. They're going to want to know too.
Well, I mean, in meetings next week, I'll tell you I'll tell you how the meeting goes, but that's a meeting about probably planning meetings. So, so,
So
so in
this
other words,
could
I'll
be,
probably just feel
this will
more
be down the
panicky.
road. This will be down the road then. Maybe not next week. Yes, that we get answers because it
Well, if the
takes
Lord,
time.
well, guys, I'm sure the Lord, if I meet with them and I process, I'll get a progress report dream. And we can talk
Mm.
about progress because if you deal with your stuff, you'll have a dream like the sun coming out of the clouds or, oh, I'm going the right way. Change is happening. I'm facing my fear. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing about it. So let's move on to dream type number two, Murray.
Okay, so dream type number 2 for today are flushing dreams.
Mm.
So living in a defiled world where sin just affects creation, it affects. If you've ever driven through a city and your sensor feeler and parts of it feel icky, that's
Mm.
because it does. And that's defilement. So we'll talk about that a little bit more again in future episodes.
So,
But sometimes you can have dreams that tell you you've picked up some stuff and you need to get washed off, right? And these dreams are strange to you. They're out of character. You find yourself doing things in these dreams you would never do, or thinking things you would never think, or responding in ways you would never respond because you picked up something that's icky, and it's basically you're being shown you need to get rid of this. This is
oh,
not your stuff.
I
You
mean,
need
I
to get it
can
flushed off.
totally relate. Like just 2 months ago, Bruce and I were at an event and with a new group of people we've never met, and it was fine. You know, you met some new people. And then that night I had the worst gross flushing dream ever.
Mm.
And I was like, what? Why would I have a dream like that? I haven't had a dream like that in my entire life, actually. I'd never had a dream like that. And I'm like, and I was thinking about it, going, why would I ever have a dream like that? And then I realized, oh, I probably bumped into something icky the
Yeah.
night before. And it was somehow, sometimes you don't understand why, but sometimes something can affect you. And what I needed to do was just wash it off and say, Lord, let's get rid of
Yeah.
this. And so that's a really great example. I mean, it wasn't great for me, but it's a great example
Yeah.
of a flushing dreams. And everyone gets them once in a while.
Yeah.
You just
It's
pay
not
attention.
super
Yeah.
common, but how you know it's not your stuff, it's like it's out of character. It's stuff you don't struggle with. It can be just icky and feeling. You're doing like I never do that. Why am I dreaming about that? It's because it's somebody else's issues. You bumped into somebody carrying something, and you're basically the Lord's like, you got to get rid of this. This is what you're carrying. This isn't you. And you just do what Trish said. Lord, wash me off,
Hmm.
bring peace, Holy Spirit, fill me up.
Yep. And then forget about it.
Yeah, and then forget about it. So anybody out there going, oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? Why am I having these
There's
kinds of dreams?
nothing wrong with you. You're
You're
just
fine.
picking some stuff up. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we have time for a dream type number three, which I love
Mm.
this one, the physical healing dreams. And do you want to talk a little bit about that, Murray?
Yeah. I mean, throughout church history, there have been incredible dreams of physical healing. Like they're so fun to read. But so I think the title explains itself. But you could break this down into a dream in which you wake up healed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have a symptomatic dream where the Lord's like, here's the source of your illness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so let's do that one first. And
The source
uh
of your illness. Well, I have an
yeah.
example for that one.
Oh yeah,
A
okay,
very
let's do
short
that.
one. I was in university, starving student. And anyone who's gone to university understands starving student. So
Mm.
I decided that popcorn was really cheap and I was just basically living on popcorn every day. And then that one night I'm not feeling good. My stomach is like bloated. I'm just not feeling good. And so one night I have a dream, and in the dream I'm eating popcorn, but it's really awful and gross. And then when I'm like, I shouldn't be eating this. And then when I woke up, I'm like, I'm making myself sick because I'm eating too much popcorn. So I stopped eating the popcorn, and then within a couple of days I felt better again. So
There
then
you
I
go.
just had a season where I did not eat popcorn.
There you
Although
go.
I still love popcorn, but now you can eat yourself, to the point where you get an allergic reaction to something if you eat it too much, and that's what I
Yeah.
realized.
So you could say that from that dream, something popped. Bum, bum,
Yes, something
bum.
popped.
There we go.
And you have
Uh,
a really great example
yeah,
too,
I
right?
was really struggling with some very bad intestinal issues for quite a long time. And I was praying about it, and I had this dream. And in the dream, it looks like an elevator shaft. And I'm kind of floating down this elevator shaft, wondering where the elevator is and why am I in this shaft? And there's like water or something dripping down. I'm like, elevator shouldn't have water. And then it's like I'm
Mm.
floating down like a balloon would, about that speed. And I get to the bottom of the elevator shaft, and there's some water in there, and it's kind of leaking through the concrete. And it shouldn't be able to leak through the concrete, but it is. And I wake up going, what? What's a weird dream? Why would I have this dream? And then I pondered and I prayed about it, and it was about having leaky gut syndrome. It's about
Ah.
your intestines, the shaft, and it was like leaking through, and it's
Oh.
like, oh,
And
that's
so
what.
that was definitely revealing a what's going
Yeah,
on in your system.
yeah. And then I knew I needed to, I had to see a naturopath. That's what we call them, and a doctor of naturopathic medicine, and got on some nice probiotics and certain things, and started to get better. So there you go.
Cool. Cool. Now you have a really great healing dream. Supernatural. Oh no, wait, we'll do the regular one first.
Oh, the recovery one?
The recovery one. Yes.
Okay, well, here's a
That's
good
an
dream,
amazing.
everybody.
Yeah.
So God can also in a dream give you, here's what you knew to get better. Like instead of like, hey, this is your issue, go tell the doctor. It's like, hey, I am the doctor. Here's what you need to do. Right. If you want to say that. So had a gal in class, older lady, originally from Jamaica, if I remember correctly. And she said, as a kid, I had this crazy dream when I was 7. I said, okay, you can tell me. And she says, when I was 7, I had this really bad flu. I can't remember what it was, but she had a fever. She was burning up. She hadn't eaten in days, and she was dying. The doctors couldn't do anything. They couldn't figure out what it was. So in the dream, she's like going up this stairwell to this light in the sky, and she was getting closer to the light, and suddenly, like this angel comes down and says to her, daughter, you need to go to tell your mother to go to the neighbor's yard. And in the backyard, she's got a garden. And in this particular spot, there's a particular plant. And she's seeing the garden. She's seeing the spot as this angel's talking to her. And you get your mother to go and pick the leaves and make a tea out of it and a poultice and apply it, and you'll get better. Go tell your mother. So, she wakes up from the dream, very weak, but she tells her mother, what she saw and what this angel said. Her mother goes to the neighbor's yard, and an exact spot she described, there's the plant with exactly those types of leaves. And she does what she's told, makes her daughter a tea and this poultice, and her daughter recovers. She gets healed.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, hey?
That's a great,
So
great
this is how you do it.
recovery
So
dream. Yeah.
God knows his plant medicine.
And then we'll do the supernatural healing dream, which is this is so, and this is
Yeah.
a recent one, right?
Yeah, this just happened to somebody I
Yeah.
know. So so my friend, and I shall call her Lynn, not her real name. Um, she might have said I could use her real name. I don't remember. So I'll just call her Lynn for now. So she had a little piece of glass in her foot from 20 years ago. And she laughs about it. It's like, why didn't I take this out? So
Wait a minute, 20 years? She had glass in her foot for
it's just
20
a
years?
tiny little, like a pinhead, little pinhead piece of
And
glass,
she's
right?
felt it for 20 years.
Well, no, I guess it kind of came and go and it would bother her for a bunch of days and then not feel it again for a couple of months. And then, so it
Oh,
was like, is
wow.
it getting healed? Is it not? But I guess recently it's been really bothering her a lot. So, she's like, should I go to a doctor? What should I do? And she's like, and she felt the Lord say, you need to take care of yourself. She's taking care of her husband. She's taking care of her kids. She's taking care of a lot of stuff. And finally says, and so that night she has this dream. And in the dream, she's at the doctor's, and the doctor, makes a little incision and gets a pair of tweezers and takes this little pinhead-sized piece of glass out. She wakes up from the dream going, "Oh, I wonder if I'm healed then." So she's in the shower. She decides to put her finger down there and just feel it because I guess if she presses on it, it hurts. She puts her finger on it to press, and out from her skin on her foot, the little piece of glass pops out. The
Wow.
little hole where it was completely healed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's such an amazing dream.
That she goes, yeah, Dr.
Oh,
Jesus, he took care of it. So,
wow, that is so awesome. That is, oh my goodness. I want dreams like that.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you remember ask, what does Jesus say? Ask and it'll be given to you. Sometimes we need to ask for these kinds of dreams, and the Lord's faithful. So, everybody, here
I'm
you go.
asking. I'm asking.
Hallelujah.
All right. Well, I think we're almost out of time, but for all of you listening, I know you can go back and listen to the 30 dreams we listed. If there's a certain dream type that you would like us to talk about, we will definitely include it in our podcast in the next, weeks or months. But let us know which ones you want to know about and give us an example too. We would love that.
Oh, yeah. You could send us, if you guys are like dream type, I've got one of those. Let me send it to you. We'll share it we'll share it on the podcast if you want us to. So it's good that, fresh information. Why
Yeah.
not? So please feel free. Like, please don't send a 20-page dream. That, you know what I mean? Like, but if you've got a dream that fits one of those categories and you'd like to share it, and you could say, yeah, and change my name. Absolutely. Please do. That would
We'd
be
love
great.
to do that. All right. Well, time's up, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.